everyone, and thank you for joining us again for Take 5. For those of you who don't know, my name is Hope Wayne, and this month we're talking about finding hope. Tonight I have the privilege of introducing our next speaker, my friend Katelynn. She and I met at a Bible study a couple of years ago, and we were able to bond over some similar interests as well as the fact that we're both teachers. She teaches Title I at Oregon Trail and is an incredible blessing to her students. She grew up in Fruitland, but after getting married, she and her husband moved here. Her husband, Tony, is a police officer, and they have a couple of the cutest puppies ever. They've been attending Amazing Grace Fellowship for about 3.5 years. What I know about Katelynn is that she's kind, she's compassionate, loyal, she's creative, she has a huge heart, and she fiercely loves her family and friends. I know that she loves God so much and that she has an incredible journey about finding hope that she's going to share with you tonight. So without further ado, here's Katelynn.
Hi, Amazing Grace Fellowship. Like Hope said, my name is Katelynn, and I'm very excited to talk to you about finding hope today. I grew up in the church. I always said my nightly prayers, and my faith has always been strong. God is who I've always turned to for every worry, concern, or doubt. But this past year, things changed for me in a way that I never really imagined. A year ago, my husband and I decided that we were ready to start a family. And I had a plan about when would be the best time to have our baby and what I was going to do to make sure that my plan was possible. I had everything thought out and I was ready to execute my perfect plan. What I didn't realize was that I was leaving out a very important part of my plan, and that was God's plan and His timing. We found out that we were pregnant a week before my birthday, so on my birthday we announced to our families our exciting news. I had an 8-week doctor's appointment followed by a 10-week ultrasound. I had been so excited for this ultrasound because I knew I was going to see my growing baby, and my heart would be so full of love and excitement for what was to come. But instead, the doctor came in and explained that the baby wasn't developing and there wasn't a heartbeat. It was likely that I was experiencing a missed miscarriage. A missed miscarriage is when the baby quits developing and your body doesn't realize it, and it continues on as if nothing were happening. After some further testing, my worst nightmare was confirmed. This was devastating news because it was something that I had prayed for, hoped for, and dreamed about. I felt so lost and incredibly hopeless. My husband was not at the appointment with me because of COVID restrictions, so the doctor was kind enough to sneak me out the back of the office so that I wouldn't have to walk back out through the busy waiting room. I drove myself home, I found my way to the couch, and my husband held me as I wept. I remember sitting in the same spot on the couch for a week. My husband and our family were wonderful. They said and did all of the right things, but I still felt so lost. I no longer wanted to have children because I couldn't imagine the possibility of experiencing this again. My husband and our family encouraged me to pray, but I couldn't find the words. What could I possibly pray about when I was out of hope? I remember tearing up in the mall as I watched a proud mom feed her new little baby. I remember doing my best to avoid looking at the sweet baby sitting across the sanctuary at the church. I remember feeling furious as our friends announced their exciting news of their pregnancies. I was angry and lost, and that has never been who I am. There are 3 things that helped me to heal and helped me to find hope again. The first was recognizing the loss of our sweet little baby. The second was walking through the loss with my friends and family. And the last was simply taking time. Recognizing the loss of something that I never actually held was really strange. I almost felt silly because I was grieving something that I didn't actually have, but I'd already grown to love what was growing inside of me and the sweet baby that I'd hoped for. I wanted to honor our sweet babe, so I wrote a poem to our little one. I also found ways to make a memorial for our baby. My sweet best friend helped me to find a couple things that would remind me of our little one, and we set them up next to my bed. We decided to call our baby Faith, so one of the things that I have next to my bed is a little sign that says Faith. Faith has been my word since the miscarriage. It's reminded me to keep the faith despite the heartache. My mom also bought me this necklace, and it has been a sweet reminder of the little one we had and the experience that we went through. At first, I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to pretend like it had never happened and just move on. But I couldn't move on from it. I learned that each time I talked about it with someone who cared about me, I felt a little better and began to accept what had happened. There were so many women who have had similar experiences. I was incredibly grateful for their kind and understanding words and their prayers. When I couldn't find the words, they prayed for me. Time. It took time. I read a devotional written for women who had experienced a miscarriage. I continued to go to church even though I cried through every worship service. My husband and I began praying together. Eventually, I started to heal, and I felt as if God did desire for me to have children, and I was ready to give it another try. But in my mind, it needed to happen right now, because that would still fit into my time frame and my plan. Now, that didn't work, and I can tell you why it didn't work. I wasn't trusting what God had in store for me. I was honestly thinking that what I had planned was the perfect plan, and I just needed God to go along with my plan. I was wrong about that, but it took some time of frustration and disappointment before I realized that it isn't my plan and my timing, but it's God's. I've continued to pray. I've asked God to help me to have peace, to trust His plan, and to find hope again. I'm hopeful that God has a plan for me. I'm hopeful that we will be blessed with a family. I'm hopeful that it will happen in His perfect timing. I'm hopeful that my story will help other women who have experienced the same thing. I have found hope again. It wasn't easy, and I don't think I could have done it on my own. But surrounding myself with other Christians who love me and love God, taking time to heal, and knowing that God was always with me, even if I didn't always feel connected to Him, helped me to find hope again. I'm so grateful that I didn't let myself go down this terrible path that could have led me to an awful depression, but instead I found a way to keep my faith and to find hope in God's plan. Please know that if this is something you have, are, or will experience, that I'm praying for you, and I am always willing to talk with you as you find your hope again. Thank you.